How much do you think you could win betting sports if you were able to place your bets halfway through the first quarter? Now, in this episode of Storytime, I'm going to tell you how I made $50,000 doing this and how I eventually got caught. And please, if you find this video interesting, let me know with a like or a comment. I have tons of stories from my time as a bookie or from time spent in prison or just my 20 years involved in sports betting. I've told a lot of them already to members of my Discord community I run, but if they do well here on YouTube, I'll try to put more of them out. Now, before explaining the how part of this story, I first need to explain the who and when. Now, when I first got into sports betting in the early 2000s, it was way different than it is today. You called your bookie and placed your bets over the phone. Like many new sports bettors, I sucked. I lost a lot. I got sick of losing and I became a bookie. I started off small, taking bets from friends, pretty quickly grew a somewhat big sportsbook operation. I eventually caught the attention of a bigger operation, ran and operated by two guys, both named Mike. Everyone referred to them as the Mikes. I had already been a bookie for someone else prior, but he got busted. And at this time, I was basically just on my own, kind of looking for someone to back me. This allowed me to take bigger bets and more risks because I had the mics backing me now. Now, on weeks when the book lost, I had to pay out the players, I'd get the money from the mics. There was no out-of-pocket risk now on my end. I just had to make sure they got their cut on the weeks where my players lost, which I think at the time was like a 70-30 split their way. Now, every night I'd be at my desk taking bets. The phone would be nonstop ringing. When 7 p.m. came around, I'd call in all the bets that started at 7 p.m. into the mics, and then again at 8 p.m., and then I'd close around 9 p.m. This was every weekday, depending on the season and sport. Now, on the weekends, I was basically open all day. Around my second full NFL season, working under the mics, I had about 3 or 4 different agents below me who were taking bets with their own clientele and then calling them into me. Plus, I had around 70 people calling me directly, placing bets. Now, weekends were crazy during football season. You had to be open and available all day Saturday and Sunday, not only to answer the phone, but you needed to be very organized and good at accounting. Everything was done with pen and paper, and any mistakes would cost you money. Mistakes never made you money because mistakes in my favor were usually discovered and then disputed, but nobody's going to dispute a mistake in their favor. One Sunday, I discovered a major flaw in how the mics operated, and this is how I was able to win roughly $50,000. Now, during NFL season on Sundays, I'd open around 10 a.m., start taking bets. At around 12:50, 12:55, 10 or 5 minutes before the 1 p.m. games kicked off, I'd tally up all the bets I had. I'd make sure my agents had all the bets they took, called into me. So by 1 p.m., I'd be ready to call all the bets into the mics. One Sunday, after calling all the bets into the mics for the 1 p.m. games, I realized by the time I hung up the phone with them, the first quarter was almost over. If I called at 1 p.m., it sometimes took a good 20 minutes to get all the bets in. Sometimes I'd even be put on hold for a little while because other bookies or bettors were calling in their bets to the mics. It wasn't till the next Sunday I realized the potential and money-making opportunity I had here. Now, keep in mind, I'm still very much a square sports bettor. Didn't have the slightest clue about what it takes to be a winning bettor. I simply just took advantage of the era and time and I guess a sports book operation that grew really big, like too fast. Now it's 1 p.m. I make the call. I start reading off the bets, and on the TV, I see the Patriots are up 14-0. Now, being a bookie in Boston, there's always a ton of bets on the Patriots. I don't remember the total amount of bets I had on this Sunday on the Patriots, but I added 500 onto the total amount. I was basically placing a $500 bet on a team who was already up 14-0. Now, what's crazy is that bet actually lost. At this time, the Patriots are always huge favorites, and we would make them even bigger favorites, knowing everyone would still bet them anyway. So even though when I made the bet, they were up 14-0, there was still another 3.5 quarters left to play, and they were probably double-digit favorites anyway. But this was the start of what eventually made me a lot of money. The very next week, I started betting first-half bets on any team who jumped out to an early lead. I was praying for like opening kickoff return touchdowns or just early scores, especially if like an underdog took an early lead, I'd pound them in the first half. I don't think I was able to bet first quarter bets. I can't remember, but I'd have my roommates tracking every game and letting me know scores while I was on the phone. I started talking a lot slower, dragging out the combos, asking them random questions to give me more time. And now, betting a team up 7-0 in the first quarter wasn't an automatic lock or anything, but I did understand this was a huge advantage and I needed to place a lot more of these type of bets and for a lot more money. I don't remember how much money I actually profited. I say 50K in the title because I'm sure it was around that much. Um, I was able to do it for roughly 2 months, and it's not like I could bet like 10,000 or 5,000 on these games. It'd draw too much attention. I didn't really have the clients that were making big bets like that. But like all good things, they eventually come to an end. The Mikes eventually hired a guy named Mario who was in charge of like accounting and doing like auditing and stuff. And he realized my book wasn't making them the money it should have, or that it once did, and they identified the first half bets were the big leak and reason why. Plus, I think another one of their agents started doing the same thing I was doing. I can't remember if someone told him what I was doing or even if I told this kid. I can't really remember, but he bought like a Range Rover 3 weeks after starting to do it, and he didn't even have half the clientele I had. I think he just went like really hard. Now, they couldn't prove I was taking advantage of this. They just knew they weren't making money. But this was also around the time all the bookies were making the transition to PPH books and players could place bets online. This, of course, eliminated me being able to post bet, but it also did make my job as a bookie 100 times easier. Bookies today have no clue how easy they have it. That's the short version of how I made $50,000 betting sports without knowing anything about betting sports. Hope you found this entertaining. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section. If you could give this video a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate it. Trying to switch up the content a bit, only if people find it interesting. If not, I'll stick with game breakdowns. But until next time, good luck with your bets.